In continuation with the video tutorials of Amazon Cloud Practitioner course, we will be discussing about the Identity and Access Management Console in this discussion, and the core areas that we will be covering, as you can see on my screen. We will be discussing what exactly is the Identity and Access Management System in AWS, what is the use of IAM, what are users, groups, and policies, and what is an IAM role. So coming on to the console over here, as you can see, let me briefly discuss how we can control the access to AWS. Let's say I want to access AWS Cloud. So the very first thing that I need to do is I need to go to the AWS website, and I can go here and I can say, okay, sign into the console. Okay, since I've already created what we call as root account, so I'm able to log in, right? So as you can see, trail data 2017, this is my root account. So root account is, as you guys might be aware, it is the account that has all the privileges, access to all the services, whether it is billing or whether it is any other, service that you want to. So it is the first thing, that you need to create when you actually need to set up services in AWS, right? So you need to have the root account, and and then there is another category of what we call as IAM users. So let's say I'm working in a company and I want to work on AWS S3 buckets. So my IT admin guys would be setting up an IAM user, and they will be assigning a permission to my user so that I can work on, let's say, the storage service as S3, right? So they need to control the access, right? Otherwise, I would be accessing the services that are not relevant to me, and it is not a very good idea to have users that can access all the AWS services. So we need to control it. We need to set some permissions, right? So we make use of IAM console here. As you can see, security, identity, and compliance. So I need to go to the IAM console over here, and this is my IAM management console, and identity and access management, we call it, right? And if you can see over here on the dashboard, I can see, okay, I have one IAM users already created. I have 3 groups. I have 7 roles, and then I have some custom managed policies, which is not relevant, to the course that uh, uh, we are currently discussing. So we will be definitely discussing in detail in subsequent videos. So as you can see over here, I can create users. So let's say I contact my IT admin guys and I request a user to be created so that I can work on AWS S3. So assuming me as the IT admin guy, I would be going to the management console and I'll say, okay, I'll add user, and I can give it a name as Jack. And if you see over here, I have option that tells me, okay, what kind of access I need, whether it is a programmatic access where I need to access the AWS services through programs, right? Which can be so I would be generating an access key, for the API, CLI, command line interface, or SDK, and other development tools to communicate with my AWS services. But I have another option which will give me the management console access, right? Where I can access the services when I log in, and the next option you can see over here is how we are controlling the password, right? Whether I need an auto generated or I can set the custom password that I can communicate to the team members, right? So let's say I set the password as, and okay, and you can see the message down there, the password does not conform to the account password policy. So AWS definitely have certain policy when it comes to setting the passwords for the users created, right? So let's say I keep one capital A admin at the rate 123, right? I can, okay, show password, right? So this is now not showing any error message. So that means our password is in accordance with the policy defined by AWS, right? And then, user must, and then the next option that we have is, let's say the user login for the very first time, right? So user can create a new password at the next sign in. So we can definitely enforce this regulation also, so that a user to whom I am providing the user ID should be able to set his or her own password. So next is the permissions. So it is loading the policies right over here, as we can see, and then definitely we can add user to a particular group that is already there, right? Then we can copy the permissions from an existing user also, and then we can directly attach existing policies. So this is what I'm talking about when we talk about giving access. Let's say we talk about S3. So this is a policy that says Amazon S3 full access. This provides full access to all buckets via uh, Amazon Management Console, right? So we can select a policy that will ultimately decide what kind of permission a user have, right? Then we have read only also, right? Okay, so I'll come back to this later. So let's say I click on create user without assigning any permission, right? This user has no permissions, right? So let's say what happens when I do this. So I say create user. My user is getting created, and I will be getting a link with which I can log in to the AWS Management Console. So let's wait while the user is getting created, and so we will be continuing our discussion in the next video. Thank you.